my home and native land, true native love. And all thy sons know.
No.
And all of us command, right? Yeah. All our sons.
That was pretty amazing. Well, don't put me on the spot.
No, it's not sons anymore. They changed it. And all of us command, yeah. I love it. I always cry at that. Like, if I go to a hockey game and they play the Canadian national anthem, because to me, there's something like home. That word home. It makes you feel like it hits you in your chest. And it really feels like the Canadian people. Right? Yeah.
Does that mean we can count on you to cheer for Team Canada hockey? Can I just get you on record? Please?
Didn't USA just do something big? Didn't USA just have a big moment?
Well, they beat the women's team, but we're not talking about that today. We're talking about you.
The American men beat the Canadian women's team?
No, that wouldn't have happened.
No. I'll root for a great competition all the way around.
Appreciate it. And
I'm rooting for Canada to succeed in all things.
We appreciate you saying that, actually, especially right now. The Goonies is so nostalgic to so many people, so many generations, which is incredible. When you were making the movie,
so many generations of people they've been loved forever. I mean, no one can remember a time in human history where. Sorry,
I'm only saying that because my 9-year-old niece just saw it for the first time, and I'm old, so that's cool to me that she saw it. You can make fun of me, it's okay.
No, it's true. It's true. We love it for its truth. 40 years. How long is a generation? Is it like 20 years is a generation?
Yeah.
Is that right? Like, I'm not sure who's in charge of the generation map or whatever, or timing, but it's at least 2 full generations. But I think it's on its way to a 3rd generation. Yeah, 4th generation, whatever.
Anyway,
she's obsessed with age.
Why do you think the film resonates with so many fans?
I think that we were having so much fun when we were filming. Richard Donner, the director, made sure that the set was always just a place of so much energy, so much fun. And then, of course, Steven Spielberg also directed Second Unit, and that was also so special. We were just, I think that fun comes through. And I think he really wanted us to be in the moment and have it feel real to us. So, like, I think some people know the story, like the first time we ever saw that ship, they filmed it. And I think because there's that kind of honesty to it and that so much love between us, I think that is kind of timeless.
I agree. Well, just listening to you describe it made it feel like having fun was important. It made it important. It's important to do a lot of things. You gotta eat, you gotta sleep, you gotta work. There's things you have to do, but they treated the idea of adventure, kids' adventure, and campy, fun stuff, like with real seriousness, and they built a pirate ship. They built a real almost a real pirate ship, but it sure looked like a real pirate ship. And that cost a lot of money. I wonder what that set cost. You think $1 million? The lumber to build the Inferno pirate ship on stage 16 was, I'm sure, a fortune. And why were they spending that much money to do that? And the thing that they were really interested in was, are the kids having fun? There's something pretty special about that, to prioritize that as something, yeah.
I think it's also the idea of camaraderie, the idea that a bunch of goofball kids can come together and actually accomplish something, save their homes. And then I also think that Pirates never ever get old. Like, we've been obsessed with pirates since, forever, and continue to. So I think there's so many elements in there that people just love, and we're so lucky to have been part of that.
I'm trying to think about the kids shows that would have been really popular at the time. And I know Dick Donner, who directed episodes of Gilligan's Island. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
And those kind of campy shows. This was like the best of that tone. It set a tone. It was loud. There's a certain pitch that you can almost hear the music, the Dave Grusin score, kind of dun 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 dun. It just puts you in a mood. It just creates a mood, and I think that mood people like to. It's a mood people want to stay in a lot or go back to a lot. Yeah.
What was it like being kids on set? You said it was super fun, but like, how did you manage your time with like doing school and then the acting? How did it work, like a day on set for you guys being kids?
I just kept thinking of eating candy bars. like, how did I manage my time on set? Well, the sugar high would spike, and then you know.
I know. We're all like, oh no, Sean's been at the craft table. He'd be like zing, 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 zing around the stage. We were busy constantly because if you weren't on set, you were in school. And because there was 7 of us in one school trailer, that was chaos. And 2 teachers, and it was just a regular sized trailer outside the soundstage. So that was madness and mayhem.
Rhoda C. Fine.
Rhoda and Jack were our teachers.
Yeah, Jack Tice and Rhoda C. Fine. And Rhoda, she wasn't a young woman. She was probably in her 60s at that point at least. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Right? And I remember she wrote a Goonies song. Goondock, goondock, goondock rock. That's the key to unlock. Am I right? Do you remember the mystery? She was singing it to everybody.
And she sang it, I think,
to Stephen and them. Yeah.
Stephen, and they were kind of like,
it's lovely. It's wonderful. Wonderful. She's like, you could use it. They're like, we could. we could use it. We could use it. But it's just, I don't think, no, that's other than that.
There was like, I told you, 7 of us, there were 7 of us and 2 teachers in this little place, and Rhoda was from Boston, and you'd hear, who farted? We laughed so hard.
And 7 kids pointed at each other. Who farted? No, I don't think being in set school was new. I think set school was around for decades before that. But somehow this seemed like insanity. This seemed like you were constantly going in. We were always wet. We were in the well, or we were in the pirate water. Or there always seemed to be, you were always wet and in the school thing and changing your clothes and putting on the remember we had to wear the, I bet you couldn't do it. I bet with your
and you guys were mad at me because they had to wear wetsuits under their costumes, which was super uncomfortable. But because I was in the little skirt, I didn't have to do that. So that was one advantage.
And they warmed up the water. It was like the water was nice.
The water was warm.
It was nice.
So Corey was saying the other day that you'd have blue boogers at the end of the day. Do you remember that? I have no memory of that.
I just pictured him peeing in the pirate water. Don't tell him I said that. It was the school was really nutty, and like Paul Herman, Pee-wee's Big Adventure was shooting on the lot, so you'd look outside and there'd be a large pink elephant walking by, and it was a circus. It was basically a giant circus, which just made it fun, and I felt so important. You come in the morning and the guard at the front of the studio knew your name, and there was a spot for you to park, and the water tower was there and the big stages, and you go to the You know, you go to the commissary at lunch, and everybody knew you just felt like a big man on campus. And I remember feeling like, oh, this is going to end. This is going to end at some point. And I can picture many, many times in the decades since then being outside of Warner Brothers and looking and like, yeah, I don't have a pass to go in there today. You know, our poster isn't on the wall today, just like, and it's true with everything. You came to see me in that play, in the musical. I did this Broadway musical last year, and I remember
it was awesome.
It was fun. It was fun.
Elf. Sean was amazing. Amazing.
Thank you. No, but I knew it was the experience of a lifetime getting to be on Broadway. And so where I lived and every day walking across Times Square and getting to the stage door and seeing the person at the stage door, and like, to me, the comings and goings at places like this are really important. They're like you're crossing an event horizon. And I remember every now and then at the Broadway musical looking, being like, I'll be walking in Manhattan next year this time, and I won't be going in there, and I won't be on the stage. So it just makes you appreciate it. It makes you want to appreciate it in the moment. I definitely had that feeling on Goonies.
You just reminded me of something I completely forgot, but do you remember our very last day, last shot? They called a wrap. We were on the ship, and I started to cry, and cute little Sean comes up to me and he's like, "You'll be okay. You'll be okay." It was so sweet.
I was right.
You were. I forgot all about that. So right now, yeah.
Well, I had a transformative experience at your expense.
Oh no.
Well, Carrie, who's athletic, you're athletic. I'd say you're athletic. You have the ability to be, and you know.
I used to
could not successfully turn on the plank without falling off the ship. Did you fall off the ship? Yes or no?
Well, I was supposed to. I was supposed to walk the plank.
Yeah. Well, no. Walking the plank to me means you get killed being pushed off the plank.
Right.
You walk to the edge of the plank.
Yeah.
Where in the story, do you fall off into the water? Are you supposed to fall off? No.
No, Mom
you
pushed
fell off
me.
the plank. Who did?
Annie.
She didn't push you.
No.
There was an unscripted fall from off the pirate ship.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. And I was standing on the far side of the ship. Now, this was dangerous. This was a dangerous, could have been really, really bad fall, because they had the stage was full of water that was about 3 feet tall, and then they had a cutout that was 16 feet deep, so you could jump in from the plank and land in the water like a diving board. But where you fell, if I'm not mistaken, you could have been on either side of that.
So this is my memory, which is a little different from Sean's memory.
But it happened to you. It happened to you.
No, what I remember from the first take was that, I'm tied up and I'm scared and I'm walking backwards. Do you guys remember walking backwards? And then I guess I kind of jumped off, and it was very close to the edge of that deep part, which I did not know there was an edge and an area that I was supposed to aim for versus an area that I wasn't. I didn't, but Dick later had told me that they were all, as I went off, everybody in the crew was like, and did not know if I was about to die, basically, like land in a 4-foot area instead of the 16-foot area. And then after that, he said, do not jump, just step. And I did do a couple more takes. Did I fall when we were climbing up the ship?
No. Oh, we did that other one where we climbed. No. I think what you just described connects with my memory. But
Okay.
what
This is how you know it's 40 years later. This
from
is
my
when we
vantage
saw it on Turner Classic Movies, and I was flipping through and saw these black and white movies, and there's the Goonies. I was like, oh wow, that was a rough day. Okay, go ahead. Tell me your memory.
They all feel the same way looking at us right now. I'm pretty sure. So my memory was I was standing next to Dick Donner on the wall side of the stage, on the deck of the pirate ship, and watching you and Mama Fratelli. And I don't remember. I didn't know whether you were supposed to fall or accidentally fall. But when you went off, people ran and jumped after you.
Yeah.
Jumped after you to rescue you, because you could, if you get hurt, you could drown in the pool. So, and I remember freezing. And Dick grabbed, we were standing right, he sort of grabbed me. So people were jumping off, like behaving as if to rescue someone. And we were paralyzed. And I remember, and then you came up and you were okay. I thought you hurt your knee or something.
No, I honestly had no idea I was in danger. Like, I was like, whoa, that was fun, let's do it again. And everyone was like, terrible. Yeah, no, I had no...
Well, I made a decision in that moment that I would never freeze again in life. When something scary happened, I would be one of the people who would act and do something. And so I've had any number of experiences in my life where I probably should not have done, come upon a car accident or something like that. So you created a hero complex for me.
I want to say, I'm sorry. And you're welcome.
Yeah, pretty good.
You are a hero.
It's like, thank you for coming to our therapy session.
Wanting to rescue you, failing to rescue you. That was what, yeah.
No, it was a story I learned later. I did not know at the time that I was in any kind of danger. It was some, I don't know, angel pushed me into the right, landing spot.
And then they wouldn't let us jump off, so you basically ruined our fun.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed anymore. Carrie, you were also in a pretty rad movie too that year, Summer Rental, which features our beloved Canadian John Candy. Can you tell us what it was like to work with him?
Yeah, that was one of the most special experiences. So coming from the set of The Goonies, which was loud and chaotic and crazy, and then I was home, I think maybe or a week or two, and then went down to St. Petersburg, Florida, and worked with John Candy and
Canadian.
an amazing cast, but John was just the kindest, sweetest person, and I have to say that, like, that persona, the person that we love in all the movies, is how he is in person. Like, it's not like one of those things of like, oh, he's great on screen, but then like, he was just completely kind and loving all the time, and it was just such an honor to work with him. And I got to do that one scene where it was just the two of us too, which I will never forget. He was just the kindest actor to work with, and so like encouraging of me, and just really made me feel like when I was doing a good job with him. So yeah, I know I am hearing that accent up here, so I can't stop thinking about him since I've gotten here. And yeah, he's really amazing person.
He was a part owner of the Argonauts.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I remember going to a game there, and then I was like, is that John Candy? And they're like, yeah, he's part owner of the team. I'm like, oh, man, that's so cool.
And for you did Elf on Broadway, but how'd you end up in Sabrina Carpenter's Christmas special? Santa?
Story? Sabrina Carpenter, who is Espresso. I can never sing it right. Can you sing it? You can't sing Espresso. Come on, you big baby, if you know it. Anyhow, so my agent called and said, hey, we're sending you this thing. It's Sabrina Carpenter, and it's just, you're going to play Santa Claus. It was the same year. I became Santa Claus that year. And, yeah. Yay for Santa Claus? That's so sweet. Aww.
Courtney Bell Feldman,
just got into
everyone.
my car.
Hi, everybody! You would not believe what happened to the border today. No, there was so much traffic. Oh my, did you hear what happened? I'll make it short. So we got to the airport last night at 5:10. Our flight was to leave at 6:10. We got there like 5:08. And we get up to the counter and they run our passports and they take our bags and they weigh them. And then all of a sudden some guy calls and he goes, yeah, no, we're going to cut it off. And I'm like, what do you mean you're going to cut it off? He's like, yeah, well, you have to be here exactly 1 hour before. I said, it is exactly 1 hour before. But they spent 3 minutes on the phone, and when they got off the phone, he goes, it's 5:13. And I'm like, but it wasn't when we got here. And he's like, well, it is now. Sorry, the conveyor belt was just shut off. And that was it. So we had to figure out how to get her. Every flight on Air Canada was sold out from LA to here. So we had to get a flight. We went to Seattle at 6 a.m. I flew to Seattle. We got a car and we drove 4 hours through traffic over the border, and here I am. So thank you.
I just can't figure out if it's America didn't want you to leave or Canada didn't want you coming in.
I think, well, I wouldn't say America didn't want me to leave. I don't think I'll go with you on that one, Sean.
Welcome
Thank you.
to the north.
Thank you. Glad I made it. Glad we're here now. That's all that matters. Hi, Carrie.
Hi.
It's been so long.
I know. Do you know the question that you missed
Yes.
was why do you think Goonies resonates still today?
My personal view is because we created a bit of magic. Is that right? Is that right?
That's a good answer, yes.
We created a bit of magic, and I wouldn't say we so much. We were the willing participants, but of course it was the magic of Steven and Dick and Chris, because they're the real Goonies. And they're the ones that made the story, they're the ones who created the adventure, and we were the ones lucky enough to play the parts. And that's how it worked.
I agree.
Does this work?
Hey, that worked now. Did you guys know when you were filming, because you said you had so much fun on set, obviously your chemistry was real, did you know how big the movie would end up being?
No, absolutely not. Did you guys know? We hoped so because it was Steven Spielberg and Richard Donner, and you know Indiana Jones was so big, and there was some similarity. It was like Indiana Jones for kids, but I don't think I ever imagined
Imagine going
it
up to a
would be like.
12-year-old kid right now. So
What?
Imagine going up to a 12-year-old kid right now and saying, in 40 years from right now. I mean, what is 40 years from right now? Is it 2060? Like, what is it? I don't think you. I agree with you.
It would actually be 2066, John.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But you know what? Here's the deal. I hate to say this, but I did know. I did know. Because I have a... Well, that doesn't need a clap, but thank you, Carrie. but I had a sixth sense because I had already done a few of these, right? So, first of all, I've been in the business already 9 years. 9 years. So, being in the business 9 years, you kind of see the way things flow. And one thing we all knew in 1984 was that if Steven Spielberg's name on it, it was going to be #1 at the box office, no matter what. We knew that. Whether it would sustain or not, nobody knows, but I felt, when I read the script, in my mind and in my heart, I said, this is going to be the Wizard of Oz and the Willy Wonka of the future. And I am so grateful to be a part of it. So that's what I thought when I read the script the first time.
I mean, you drive onto the lot, or to Steven's Amblin on the Universal lot, and you see it definitely had scale. you definitely knew like, oh, this is big. There's like a lot of stages, and we're going on location, and it definitely felt like this. But I just don't.
But that was your first film too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I had done Gremlins.
Rookie.
Gremlins was a huge production also, and we shot that both on Universal and Warner Brothers lots. So I was like, okay, this is another one of these, and it's going to be another big one. And we saw what Gremlins had already done, so we already knew this was going to be big on that in that subtext. But there's also the other idea, which is that I had known Steven since E.T. And when I first met Steven, don't forget, he didn't have Amblin. He had a little tiny shack on the lot of MGM. So when I met him, he was in this little tiny office at MGM because he was still a very young, up-and-coming director who had only done 3 films. They were just 3 gigantic films. Raiders, Jaws, and Close Encounters, right? Those were the 3. And so it was like, now he was getting ready to do E.T., and that was going to be the one that put him over the world. And he was in the middle of making Poltergeist at the time. So that's where he was at. He was very isolated on the studio lot. He was in this little bunker. And I just, honestly, when I went in and met with him, there was no casting directors. There was no people in the front office. It was like literally, I went into this little open shack. There's like a few of his posters on the wall and a little desk.
Duel or something like that.
Yeah. Duel was still on the wall. And it was a little desk. And he was sitting behind the desk. And that was it.
Listening to you talk, I'm thinking about all the ways that we look at what makes a film successful. Like it's box office, it's whatever. But like, people love it. Like real, actual, individual human people, families, they love it. The idea that people would love something so much that it means something to them over time, and they want their kids to see it and their grandkids to see it. That's a pretty special nuance of the whole phenomenon that I don't think I literally couldn't have conceptualized.
It's the movie that people introduce to their kids and, nieces and nephews and stuff. If you, obviously we love Goonies, but what movie would you introduce to somebody else that you loved from your childhood?
Well, Raiders. Sorry. Back to the Future.
The movie I saw 1 million times in the movie theater when I was a kid was Grease. And then the movie that I watch every year now is A Room with a View.
Well, see, I feel like I do this with every movie because my girlfriend she didn't used to watch a lot of movies. She came from a very conservative family life where, Bible Belt conservative in America, where, she was not allowed to watch anything other than, a G-rated, maybe PG. So I'm showing her Star Wars for the first time. I'm showing her, all this kind of stuff that she's never seen in her life. It's crazy.
I tell this story about working in a movie theater when I was a kid, and the first movie that played there at the theater that I worked at, the Man Bruin in Westwood Village, was Lost Boys. Oh. And I worked at the theater when Lost Boys was playing, and I remember this. I've told you.
He got even with me. Trust me, he got even with me. Anyway,
you worked at that'd be good if you worked at a theater. But there was a moment where one lady went. It's a great vampire, mythological. It's like a great vampire movie. It's one of the earliest ones besides Dracula and stuff like that. But it was sexy and cool, and it was, I don't know, it was. But this one lady went screaming, running out of the theater. And
awesome.
I chased her down so she didn't get killed running into the street. You know where the Falafel King was? Right next to I sat down on the curb with this lady, and she was really religious. So you're talking about your girlfriend coming from Bible Belt. The idea of being exposed to this satanic vampire movie.
Yeah. I mean, I never saw Lost Boys as satanic, but hey, we're learning a lot these days. Who knows?
With the cross, right?
Well, that's more, isn't that? I mean, that's a more of a religious thing that you use a cross to burn out any kind of demon. Well, it's a demon. It's a demon.
We're going to talk about this at lunch. When I was a kid, my parents, I grew up in a family of professional actors, and my dad was also a director. So the movies I watched as a kid were things he would take us to at the Directors Guild, the Union Theater. So, you know, like The Third Man and Casablanca and like stuff like this. So, but the stuff that I loved was, well, E.T. and yeah, I mean, Wizard of Oz. Anything. I love the things.
Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka, incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the, you know, and that's what I'm saying. We're so loved. The question is, who's doing it next?
Well, Stranger Things just finished.
That's what I want to know. There you go. But Stranger Things was great, but it was a TV show. But I'm saying, who's going to make a movie like that? Who's going to make a movie that everybody for 40 years, for 50 years can go, oh, we grew up with this, we love it. I want to know, where is it? Where's that movie?
Well, we're waiting for the sequel to Goonies, so if you guys could get on that, that would be really nice to see where all your characters are at. Hey?
Hey, listen, if you would have asked us a year ago, we would have all been like, yeah! And now we're like,
It's Lucy and the football.
It sure is. It sure is.
Well, you guys all have to go because your fans have got photos with you and stuff, so I'm sorry to even cut this off. And glad you came. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So, thank you so much, you guys. We're hoping that the crowd will stand up and I'll take a photo of you, a little crowd selfie if you don't mind. If everyone can stand up. Please cheer for our Goonies.